On this episode of Forced Options Training Podcast, I talk with Bryan, a Control Tactics Sgt, regarding the pros and controversy surrounding the Gracie SafeWrap system. All right, Bryan.
Yes.
Thank you for coming on today.
Thank you for having me.
Before we begin, because this topic seems to be a slightly controversial one, but here at the Forced Options Training Podcast, we like to go out and actually take seminars, do some training, and then come back and give an unbiased view or opinion on what we did. And I can tell you right now, we received no financial compensation for this. We have no other sponsors other than the Wild Boar Social Club. And so, Bryan, please, if you want to, go ahead and give our listeners, hopefully listener, not just a listener, your quick bio.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you for having me. As you've said, my name is Bryan, and I work for a large city police department in Canada. I've been working in the training unit for about 7 years. I've had the opportunity to do a lot of different training camps and courses. And myself, personally, I've been doing judo since I was 11. So I won't tell you exactly how many years that is because then I'll give away my age. But for over 3 decades of doing kind of grappling and judo. And then I'm also a instructor with police judo system. But yeah, for several years now, I've been teaching police officers control tactics, and recently have become the sergeant in charge of our control tactics training team. And it's been quite a journey. I mean, there's, as you know, Eric, there's ups and downs in this field, and sometimes we have to respond to political or social issues, which is quite interesting, instead of just teaching control tactics, which is what I think a lot of us got into this for. But yeah, I've had the opportunity to take different seminars and learn from different people. And what I find is there's usually something good to take away from every course I've been on. Yeah. And I think, yeah, there's no exception to the one I think we're going to talk about today here.
Yeah. So if you already don't know, we're here to talk about, and hold on to it, folks. We're here to talk about the SafeWrap, the Gracie Survival Tactics SafeWrap. One, again, that I said somewhat controversial, some things come up. But you know what? First of all, we're not going to talk about the controversy. We're going to talk about the technique itself. And if I have to look at it in a holistic view, I'm going to overall, I actually think it's a really good technique. Yeah. So one of the things when we were on this course, which was taught mainly Tom Chuckarell, who is a retired law enforcement officer, who led this one. Bryan, we all learned it. We all got certified on it. But Bryan got to be the guinea pig for the class to go up, and if you think about, you see on YouTube, they do the challenge, although they didn't put $10,000 down in front of Bryan.
The outcome might have been different.
Possibly. I will say Bryan put up a really good struggle, but I will let Bryan describe how we felt in that one.
Yeah, so there might actually be a video floating around at Gracie University of myself and another member of our team. Basically, we were asked to come up and show a 2-on-1 takedown. And then, of course, Tom Chuckarell and Henry Gracie were there to kind of look at it. And we weren't really sure what we were getting into. But they did a kind of a demo that countered the technique that we showed. And then transitioned into their own demo of the SafeWrap against yours truly. So it was good. The takedown, I don't think we're getting into that right now, but the actual wrap itself, takedown was good. The wrap is very, very effective. So I will say that. And the idea is that instead of being in a prone position, you're on your side. So there's definitely medical benefits to that. So the top portion of it, so the head and arm are wrapped up like a gift wrap. And at that point of the demonstration or the kind of test, Henry Gracie had my arm and neck, and Tom Chuckarell had my lower legs. And I felt at first that it was a very, very strong technique, and I had a hard time moving. I was able to kind of wiggle my legs out a couple of times, but the upper body portion, or the gift wrap portion, was extremely strong, and I wasn't going anywhere. So even when my legs did get dislodged and I was able to kind of move around a little bit, I was never able to build a house or actually defend it effectively. Once the legs got wrapped up again and the fight was out of me, like after a few minutes of struggling and being held in that position, I became a believer. The technique is very effective, very strong.
I'll say once that leg control, once you actually get it in place, it's actually pretty legit. Like the way that the shin kind of goes over the knee and kind of locks it in place. We did have an opportunity, or I did have an opportunity to do it here on JC, who some of you might remember from a previous episode who I interviewed. And he's quite a large individual as well, currently competing in some powerlifting competitions. And once I got that leg control on him, he couldn't bust out of that. So definitely the leg control is really good in combination with the gift wrap. Like, I'm a fan. I love the gift wrap. It's fairly common. Like, it's that part itself is nothing new. And I mean, I'm not a jiu-jitsu black belt. I train jiu-jitsu. I've trained judo. I've done other martial arts and stuff like that. At least the way that I've seen that leg control, and I'm sure somebody's out there screaming right now, no, I've done this for years or whatever. At least the way I saw that leg control kind of get in place altogether, I haven't really seen that out there. So I think it's nice once you get it in and it's locked in. And again, the gift wrap's a huge thing. And I would say a big takeaway from that was just, again, because oftentimes what I'll say over the years, it's, we were talking about always controlling the arms and controlling the lat, whereas I've kind of switched my focus now, not just the arms, like the legs are super. I know the legs have always been important, but like you take away those legs, they're not building that house. And so it kind of changed my focus on the importance of controlling legs versus only controlling arms.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, I felt the same, where in the past we would teach and show quite effectively for if it was a 2-on-1 situation that each officer would control an arm and kind of keep the person in a prone position. But having the legs controlled, especially when they're wrapped up that way, I have seen various leg entanglement techniques over the years. This particular one, you don't even want to move. Like, you don't want to resist it because it's very, very uncomfortable. But at the same time, and this is one of the perks, and I think one of the great aspects of this technique, is that you're not putting pressure. So the subject is not under any strong pressure. There isn't any joint manipulation. There's no pressure points being used. It's actually kind of comfortable in a weird way. Like, you're getting hugged by two people and you just can't move, almost like a straitjacket, right? And you don't want to move because the more you struggle and the tighter it gets, the less comfortable it gets. But it also feels safe, as the name says.
That's the SafeWrap.
That's the SafeWrap. Good name.
I will say, in our agency, because we have a larger agency, so we do a lot of our training, at least within our department here, is we will do partner takedowns, and we'll working with partners, like 2 to up to 3 partners, when we practice some arrest techniques. So that, I like the takedown. I think it's quite simple to do. But I think like even in Canada, there's certain agencies that, most cars are one person. They work remote areas. They're often by themselves. So most of their training they do is just one officer. And then when we see if they come over to our department as an exempt officer or moving to a new department, we get them here and they're not used to working with partners. So I think in the terms of the SafeWrap system, trademark, by the way, or copyright, sorry, is having that opportunity. This may be the first exposure or the most exposure that some of these smaller agencies may have to working with a partner, which is important. And it's a different dynamic altogether, as we know. And I always use the example of Braveheart, the ending of Braveheart, where they draw and quarter him on where they pull the horses out. Often that's, tie up individual arms and limbs, send the horses the other directions. That's what it's like sometimes when you're trying to arrest somebody. And anybody that works with partners or in a larger agency that has a lot of members will probably agree with, I know I've been sprayed by other members. We've had other members handcuff other members baton, punch, kick, knee. I mean, you name it. Other members have done that, usually in a big pile of people because nobody's being the quarterback and everyone's just trying to get there.
Yeah, I don't know how many times I've seen two officers attempt to take down, and usually it comes down to lack of communication, whether they're going forward or backwards, or they're going one direction or the other, and we end up fighting against each other. So I think you're right that training together, and if you are going to be doing team takedowns or partner takedowns, you have to be training together so that you know what the other person is doing and have the same language as well. And I think that's what they did a good job of reiterating that at Gracie University. Like, this is something that you can't just train one person on your squad. Like, everyone needs to know it. And you should be able to put everybody into each of those two positions in order to do the SafeWrap lateral restraint system properly. And if you get to that point, that's fantastic. But obviously, as you know, Eric, there's a lot of challenges to getting people to the point where they are competent and confident with any technique, never mind ones that are a little more technical and require some practice and, some actual focus. So there are challenges, especially when we've got limited time. I think it's the same across the board for US and Canada. Training time is insufficient. I'll just leave it at that. But so that would be one obstacle to getting everyone on the same page and being able to execute this technique properly.
Yeah, and just if anyone wonders, like, we're not an agency in Canada. Like, most of our instructors are GST qualified, but it's not like we don't run a pure GST program up here. In fact, we have a kind of our own program that's been in place for quite some time, but we supplement it. So it's not like, but we supplement from not just from GST, from other things here and there. So it's not like, again, this is kind of this is just our unbiased opinion, and we have no, like I said, no financial or no other, what's the word, connections, I would say, other than we took the seminar and overall we liked it. And I was kind of surprised on this myself. I didn't realize that there's actually more to the system, like in terms of the takedown and stuff like that. So there is more than just the actual hold itself. And I do think it's a good system that does tick boxes for especially items or things that have been hot button topics, like the different restraints and whatever people have, we've seen over the last few years. We've had a lot of upset, and I know in Canada we have a lot of civilian oversight. So something like this as an option, I think it is good. So I don't know, in terms of the pro, any other last thoughts on that pro before?
Yeah, I do think that it is a legitimate technique. I think that if you are able to get officers to a point of proficiency where they could do this properly, and I think it's not impossible. It's a matter of getting appropriate amount of hours in for training. I do think it's a good technique that would keep the public and the officers safe. Yeah, that's the big pro for me anyways.
We're going to go right at it. We're going to go over some of let's say the controversy. And obviously the number one thing being the copyright.
Sure.
One of the questions that came up, or actually this was one of the answers I think that Henner said when he was talking, he touched on some of the controversy surrounding it, and it came up with the copyright. And his number one answer was, well, first of all, because we can. And honestly, as a cop, I was like, I'm good enough with that answer. I don't need the rest. Like, as being a cop, it's like, hey, just give me the straight facts. I don't need to know anything else. Yeah. Like, I get the other stuff, like I can go through it. But when he said, here, anything else, I was like, or because I can, I'm like, hey, fair enough. You're a businessman. You're doing this. It's not a bad thing. I do just in front of me here. I just Googled it, like, about the SafeWrap copywritten, and they give on the, looks like from their Gracie University website. It says SafeWrap system is patent pending worldwide, requires a license for institutional use. The purpose of the license is to ensure, one, every certified instructor teaches the system to the highest quality standard, which I don't disagree with. I don't think it's a bad intention there. Every end user of the system achieves maximum retention and effectiveness in its application. Again, I don't think those are bad, but realistically, I can see where the pushback's coming from.
Yeah, I mean, that's my immediate reaction too, is to kind of be skeptical whenever business and law enforcement / safety intermix. It can be kind of problematic, I think. So looking at, it's not completely altruistic, right? We're not doing this, or Gracie University isn't doing this just to save people and officers the trouble of when things go wrong. It is a business, and I understand that. In order to run a business, and that's good. If you're running a business and you're providing a good product, fantastic. But whether or not it's going to help or hamper the actual application of safe techniques that are going to keep the public and officers safe, that's yet to be seen, right? Because if now it'll come down to department by department whether or not they decide to license the SafeWrap and send officers for training and keeping up their licensing fees. And it depends. Like, I don't fully understand how the copyright system works or the patent system works. But in my mind, it was like, okay, I see these techniques. They're effective. I've seen similar techniques many times before. What exactly is being patented? And my worry is that, hey, if officers already do gift wrap and they do some form of leg entanglement, but now they're worried about litigation because of, they haven't been certified or their department doesn't subscribe to a license, that might actually backfire. And now guys that would have done a gift wrap and effectively held somebody down, they might be thinking, man, I don't want to put myself at risk and do this. I'm going to use a tool instead.
Kind of defeats the purpose of having something that's keeping us from being litigated upon.
Yeah. So we have to kind of look at that and kind of figure out whether or not that is something that people are comfortable with, right? And I don't know if every department is going to be comfortable licensing technique, because then where would it end, right? Like if we have, for example, we do a lot of twist locks. And we teach it to other departments, no problem, right? We host seminars and we like to collaborate. And the more people that pick it up and train it properly, the better. And we're happy with that. But if we start getting into more and more of this system of things being patented, it might just be overload, right? And departments can't be sending people on multiple certification courses every year. So it is definitely a challenge, and I'd put that on the con side for SafeWrap.
And I think one of the things I think I remember hearing mentioned was the reason why other than once we got past because we can, which I was like, cool, good enough. That's all I need. Fair enough, man. Like 100% fair enough. Was basically by doing that, it's forcing the department to have to give you this training time.
Yes.
So yeah, that part, if that is the case, and I'm okay with that being one of the reasons.
As a trainer, I'm like, yeah, that's fantastic. You mean we're going to get all officers on the mats more often? Yeah. I love it.
And I mean, for some departments, they're going to do it just because they can say then, hey, look, no, we have an alternate. Mm-hmm. We have this and we're doing it. Like, I think New York was a big one for them. And that, I mean, you think about some of the things, I'm not from what I've heard from New York is you can't put any pressure on upper torso kind of area. They need an alternate for something like that. 100% I can see them saying, well, yeah, we need something. Because it's not, and I think I heard an interview, and I think it was a podcast interview, I think when it first came out, and it was saying something about the copyright, and again, correct me if I'm wrong on this one, or if anybody knows better on this, feel free to just message or whatever hit the Instagram. It's just, I believe it has to do with the combination of the control on the side. The leg control has something that they've copywritten in there, and the addition of handcuffing from the side.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's the combination plus the use of the name SafeWrap that I think you would be able to actually patent and then, potentially litigate if people or officers aren't using it as they should, or they're using it without being licensed. And it's somewhat problematic, right? If the name isn't used, like, it would be interesting to see if certain agencies get the training, maybe modify it to work for themselves. Don't call it SafeWrap, call it something else. Would they still be able to be sued essentially by the Gracie University for using a technique that
and also is like, I don't know if that's something even that would be on Gracie's University's like interest to sue, as opposed to just, hey, look, we have the copyright, we have the ability. Like, it would be interesting if this gets tested. Yeah. But that's for another. We should have a legal expert on. Yeah. But I will say, and one thing, and I did mention this as well when I was down there, is and we always have to be careful with words. I know my wife tells me that all the time. I might put my foot in my mouth sometimes. Yeah. But just because somebody's restrained on the side does not mean that they're going to not die.
That is an excellent point.
It's not. I'll say, like, I gave an example of a call I went to. It came in as a theft from auto. Like, it was a residential street. People were like, hey, this guy's trying to get into cars. My partner and I were plainclothes that day, so our plan was to go and get an eye. The K9 unit was coming, but as we were all pulling in to start setting up, then the updates are coming in. They're like, oh, now he's walking on top of cars. And we're like, yeah, this guy's not trying to break into them. He's probably just high. Yeah, so we all just rolled in, like us and the K9, and we literally walked up to the guy. His body's moving erratically. He just comes up to us. We just throw him in cuffs real quick. We're like, hey, man. We sit him down. As soon as we sit him, we just sit him on the ground. As soon as we do, like, we're looking at this guy, we call the ambulance just to start up, because we're like, this guy is extremely high. And so he's talking a little bit, not really making much sense. And then his body starts kind of doing the funky chicken. So I just lay him in recovery position on the side, if you're not familiar with the recovery. But like side position, we had no pressure on this guy. At any time did we even touch him other than to put handcuffs on him initially, because we weren't sure what was going on. And he was talking, then he went from talking to mumbling, and I couldn't understand a word he said. And literally as the ambulance pulled up down the block, I smelt, and to be nice about it, I smelled feces. And my first thought was, well, the guy's dead. Because he ended up, EHS, they started compression. They managed to get him going. They managed to get the heart going again enough to get him to the hospital, but then he died a little while later, but like later that evening. So either way, right? Yeah. And so even if he had decided, like, this guy was kind of, if we got into a struggle with him, if we had to physically restrain him, even if I had safe wrapped him, he still would have died. Yeah. Because the overdose was too strong. Like, no matter what, I didn't even touch the guy. I had him laying in the recovery position, just like everybody tells you to, and he still died. So you can't guarantee that one thing is going to prevent all deaths, because we don't know what's on board that person before we get hands on to them.
And that's kind of the nature of policing, right? We're going up into situations where we have very limited information. What's exactly like the case you're talking about, what's on board for that person, drugs, mental health, all kinds of things are at play. This SafeWrap isn't going to be a panacea that solves all police problems, obviously. If it can mitigate issues with people having too much pressure and that causing medical problems, then yes, man, let's get them on their sides. I think that's it's a good innovation, and maybe this is where the conversation starts, and we start looking at other options for keeping people off their keeping weight off people's chests.
And I think you hit it on the head there with mitigate. Like, what can we do? And I think, as police departments and trainers and stuff, we kind of owe it to the public and to our members as well, because it's going to take some of the heat off of them. Well, what are some other ways we can do this? Like, what are some ways that we're going to lessen the risk and the the liability to our members out there, and how can we make it safer for the public? So in that sense, I think it's actually a very good idea. Our agency is adopting body cams. We have some out there right now, but we're going to be fully rolling them out soon. But we have policy around releasing video. So part of the thing, I think, in the license was, although they said they were flexible on this, is for us to share. You don't see a lot of Canadian body cam footage. Canadian departments are much more risk averse to put stuff out there. And part of it is also because of like when we have civilian oversight, if it's an officer involved of something other than if there's anything one of these civilian agencies comes in to take over, we can't release anything. Like even the news, like it's pretty siloed. So you're not going to see a lot of handing off body cam footage. If we did end up using it, wouldn't be something really I could see our agency. That would be a kind of a bit of a block.
Yeah, I think that would be an issue for us. Like you said, anytime there's injury, one of the oversight agencies is going to take jurisdiction and it's going to be an investigation. So we're not really at liberty to release stuff like that. But yeah, I think if you were to weigh it all out as a technique, I think it's a good technique. It's legitimate. It is a good hold. It's strong. As a business, I'm not sure how it's going to mesh with the law enforcement community, but that's yet to be seen.
I would also say, like in Canada, we have a mix. Like some agencies hold their own agency or hold their own police academy, which is fine. So like if you run your own academy, you could license it and teach it from day one. Whereas in like our province, we have a provincial academy, so the different departments send their people there for training. So say, for instance, the provincial police academy was going to be like, we're going to license SafeWrap. And so that means those officers would be covered on, they would learn it, they would be certified on it. They probably, even when they go out for their field portion of their training, would still be covered by it. But now when they go back, when they finish and they graduate the academy and they go to their respective agencies, if that agency hasn't licensed the SafeWrap, then now even though they're certified, they can't use it. But yet, what do we always do back and when we're under pressure is we go back to what we learned. That's right. under stress, right? So stress or pressure. So it's that could raise some issues. If like it was something like, hey, if they actually really were looking to crack down on the use of the SafeWrap, which I'm still not 100% sure that because it seems to me it kind of goes against the mission of much of what they've done, which is try to provide training for law enforcement. But
yeah, I think that we are always looking for ways to improve how we do things, right? Like most industries, you want to do better. In our industry, the stakes are pretty high because we're dealing with very volatile situations and dangerous situations. So we're going to do everything we can to research whatever's available and what's best practice. And what's going to keep the public and our officers safe. So duty of care, huge for us here in Canada, and it is kind of the core of our training. So even taking care of the people that we're controlling, that is part of the psyche, I'd say, of Canadian police, is that we are defending the public, but we're also taking care of the subjects that oftentimes there's a lot more going on than some criminal behavior. So being empathetic to that as well.
And so, like, to wrap up overall, like I like the SafeWrap 100%. And I would like if some people at some of the newer agents officers would come up and say, hey, have you heard about the SafeWrap? And I give my opinion. I go, honestly, I like it. I think it would be good to use, especially because we also run a small, like a gel as well, which it's not like a full gel system like they have in the States, but it's usually like a remand or whatever. I think it would be a great system to have in the gel. Do I see challenges with having the city and the copyright? Yes. But overall, like if somebody came to me and said, hey, do you think in your, especially I think for smaller agencies it's easier to do. Yeah. Although you think of like New York City, that's a huge agency, biggest agency probably in North America, if not the world. But they didn't seem to be a problem for them.
If I understand, I'm not 100% sure. It sounded like the Gracie University went to New York and was teaching their training cadre first, and maybe some recruits. So we'll see if it ends up being kind of citywide in New York. But yeah, for us, I agree. It's the same kind of challenges that we see whenever we kind of introduce new, whether it's a device, right, an intermediate weapon, or a new technique. But anytime when there's a cost involved, that obviously is going to get scrutinized and has to go to the people that are making the financial decisions for the department as well. That will be an obstacle. If this was a technique that was just offered, hey, you know what, this is Creative Commons. This is to the universe from Gracie University to everyone to use. That would be different. I think you'd see adoption levels very high. So we'll see how that model evolves over time.
Yeah, I think like that would, if somebody, especially another agency, came up and said, "Hey, do you think I should adopt it?" I'd go, 100%. Like, what do you have to lose? Yeah. First of all, and second of all, like I know they were mentioning that right now, if you get in early, it's free and stuff. It's coming down, but again, it's just knowing the legal department and especially the risk aversion they have. Oh my God, you're trying to, it's like you're dropping a bomb on them. Oh, hold on, you want me to copyright? Oh my God, what do we got to do? We got to sign a license. Hold on, we'll take 2 years. We'll take 2 years to look at it. But as a use of force trainer, or if you're like and I always encourage members, like if I was a member and I wanted, and I'm going to go do some seminar, I'd 100% get it done. I think use of force trainers across the board should go do it and take the course and get the certification, because you will be questioned on it. Because if it starts building momentum as it is right now, your department, and one day you're going to get a call and say, "Hey, what do you know about this SafeWrap thing?" Yeah. And if you've taken it and you've done it, you're like, "Well, hey, yes, I've done it." And they'll be like, "What's your opinion?" And then they could be like us, give the opinion. Yeah. So again, I'd highly recommend for trainers to take it. I'd recommend for officers to take it, for departments to take a look at it if it works within what you're doing. Like, if you don't have a lot of training time and you can dedicate some time to something like this, I think that's good. If this is what's going to help your department get you some extra training time because of this, I think it's an alternative. If not, like anything, you gotta get out there, especially as a trainer, to go out and see what's being taught. What are best practices? What can I do? Will this work for me? How can we maybe modify it? What can we take something away? Like you said, every time I go to a seminar, I try to take something away. Yeah, it's not, and that's kind of how we do things here. Like, we implement things. We slowly implement things that we've gone to other seminars. We think about it. We're like, hey, does this work for us? Does it fit our duty of care? Does it fit our national use of force framework that we have? Is it necessary? Is it risk effective? Is it acceptable? All that kind of stuff. And then we start workshopping it, and then we start slowly introducing it. And over the years, we've managed to just add on to our kind of established use of force curriculum, I guess, that we have. So
yeah, I think the moment you start thinking that you have nothing to learn, then you become obsolete, right?
I mean, in terms of everything else, the controversy, well, that's up to you guys, people out there. But if I were to, like I said, our unbiased view, I like it. I think it's good. I think it's worth taking, worth learning, if you can use it in your department. And it'll be interesting to just see how things happen down the road. Like, maybe, and I personally think it, like you kind of mentioned, is, hey, if it was just like any other like certification, get instructor certified, every couple of years, you would have so many departments, way more doing it than having to do the copyright. But like, and at the same time, when they say I get the reasoning for the licensing, but that's going to be something that I think that'll be a bit of a hindrance down the road for more departments adopting it. And I think what you'll do is where you'll just see people taking individual parts of it and then kind of using it, but not like, you'll learn how to, it's like everything else, right? You learn how to game the system, and you're going to learn, okay, well, what is actually the part that constitutes the copyright, and what point can we get up to? Yeah. And so they might not be employing the whole SafeWrap, but they'll probably be doing bits and pieces of it.
Yeah, it would be a shame if this wasn't used. I think it is a good technique. And I mean, the gift wrap is already being used widely, but the two in conjunction, I think it's good. And it could contribute greatly to use of force for police. One thing I remember Henry also talking about is that the applications for healthcare are huge, and they're actually been teaching this technique to healthcare professionals and security, which is a great idea. I mean, if we can hold people that are in some kind of medical crisis in a safe way, That's good too. So I agree with you, Eric. I think it's a good technique, but there is definitely the hurdle of the patent that would have to be sorted out through the lawyers and the people that are holding the purse strings.
Yeah, and honestly, I would like to. Hopefully that works itself out down the road, and everyone comes to a happy conclusion that works for everyone. I will say one thing that we were down there that was very interesting. Sorry, to me, is this thing that they've been developing, which is the hybrid Gracie, which I did manage to talk to somebody from an agency that's kind of doing the test run, I guess, for it right now. Yeah. So I down the road, I like the concept of that, but we'll try and do an interview, or I'll try and get an episode on that.
Yeah, I'd like to hear where that goes for them. In theory, I think it's great, and if it's getting officers on the road on duty doing control tactics, that's awesome.
Yeah, awesome. So I think that's all that we have to say.
Yeah.
I think thank you for coming on.
Hey, thanks for having me.
And I'll have you again.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Have a good one. Thanks. Bye.